Hello, I'm Michael Jeck, professor of film studies at George Mason University, and I teach mysteries on international screens, and I'm here to introduce an episode in the Montalbano series, Campo del Vasaio, or the Potter's Field. Of course, now if you're up on your biblical studies already, you got a step towards solving this, but hey, I'm not giving it away here. Well, while the Montalbano series is outstanding, yes, some are better than others, and frankly, you will judge for yourself. To me, this is one of the very, very best in the series. It's got two of the best gags in the whole history of the series. It's got one of the best shocks in the history of the series. And it's got 3 or 4 of the best eccentric cameos in the series. There's one sequence where incredible suspense is built up by you're trying to figure out who Montalbano is talking to in a particular scene. And then there's an ironic twist to that. The layers of all this are really quite extraordinary. And of course, then we have the stock company, and yet there's twists to that too. After all, Cattarella is the idiot who brutalizes the language. He speaks the broadest Sicilian, of course, set in Sicily. The dialogue, well, it has to be understood throughout Italy, and as written by Andrea Camilleri in his wonderful, wonderful novels, which you should read aside from that, because what they can't bring across here is the narrative voice of the author. We can see the dishes he's always gobbling down, but then also Camilleri in the novels describes them. No, we don't get recipes exactly. Anyway, Cattarella is, the language in the novels and on screen is a combination of Sicilian and Italian and a mixture thereof so everybody can understand it, but it gets the flavor. Anyway, Cattarella speaks the broadest Sicilian. He's such a goof. We've learned that he actually can shoot people, and he's a pretty good dancer. We're going to learn, and he's great with computers, but he's still not too bright. We're going to learn something else that's really surprising about him. We'll be seeing Ingrid, his Swedish-Italian friend. They're just friends, really and truly. We're going to see Mimi in Crisis, his number 2 guy. And we're going to hear about the Sinagras. That's the mafia gang. And talking about mafias, early on, he's going to mention 2 names, Totorina and Provenzano. Totorina was one of the most vicious killers. At one point, he was boss of all bosses. And I think he came from Corleone. Gee, does that remind you of The Godfather? And he's also going to right in the beginning, Provenzano. Provenzano was the mafia boss who lived in hiding for 25 years right downtown Palermo. Gee, they couldn't catch him. Gosh, that's the darndest thing. And finally, of the cast of characters. For the second time in the series, only the second time, we're going to see his housekeeper, Adelina, who's always being mentioned, and he's always eating prepared foods. Well, that's a lot of prep for this series, for this episode. So now let's see Montalbano, the Potter's Field.